Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Waffle Press Movie Hangouts. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. With me today is my co-host, Gina Versa.
Hey, what's up? Good to hear from you.
What's up is down, what's dog is cat, what's right is left. There's a lot happening. How are you doing, Gene? I haven't seen you in person in a while. Longer than usual.
Just been trucking along.
I'm eating a lot of bread lately. Garlic bread.
Too many carbs.
No, I gotta maintain my chunk for when I get out of here. Otherwise, I'm gonna get cold at night. But this is how we roll in the Waffle Press because we're named after food. Who is not named after food with their very own podcast, show, channel, network, all the above, is good friend of the show and of us in real life, PJ Campbell. How are you, my friend?
Oh man, it's good to be back. Number one, it's been a little while. I'm surviving, man. Kind of like you guys. It's been so long since I've actually seen you, and I'm just kind of going crazy, feeling isolated inside my house. I'm starting to feel like fucking Jack Nicholson's character in The Shining, where it's like, eventually I'm just gonna get an axe and start chasing the dogs around the house. I think, but
no.
Don't do that.
No, just. It's been a thing, man, and like I'm trying not to eat because before all this started, I had like just gone back to the gym and I've been working out and like I'd been doing so well and I had lost a bunch of weight and now I'm like, well, that bag of Cheetos looks good. So,
oh my God, yeah.
I'm fighting that.
But right now is the time for comfort food. I think. I think it's okay if we all come out of this a little heavier.
Yeah. Are the dogs okay?
They're good. They're happy to have me home, but I also think that they would rather I was out at a bar at least once a week or something. Like I think they're tired of seeing me.
Oh.
I mean, they're staring at me right now. They're very cute. They're trying to be very calm. They had the cops called on them this morning, so we're doing great.
Oh no.
Oh, what?
Were they loud or were they arguing?
No, they were outside playing in the backyard like normal dogs do, and apparently one of our neighbors was like, we need to call the cops. This is disruptive. And it was like 11 in the morning.
Wow.
And then these corgis were like, fuck blue lives. Anyways.
No, the dude was actually real nice. I'll tell you that much at least. I mean,
that's good.
The cop looked at me and he goes, I can't believe I have to do this. Dogs are going to be dogs, but I have to actually like show up.
Is this your dog? He was, glad he wasn't like, is this your dog, sir?
Yeah. No, we managed to avoid that at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're all still here in the hell world, but we have each other, and we got to be good to each other while we're here. So wash your fucking hands, stay inside if you can, play with your pets if you got them, call your loved ones, say hello, and see what they've been up to. And that's what we're kind of doing on this Hangouts episode, seeing what PJ's up to. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the PJ Campbell Network and what's going on over there? I might have popped over for a little bit the other week, but
you might have popped in while we were doing one of our watch-alongs. It's actually something I had been working on with Pat Hogue and Frank Janish, my two co-hosts on the PJ Campbell Show. We'd been working on it since like last year, and things kind of got murky for me in the middle of the year. So I didn't really everything with the channel basically just like stopped dead, and I didn't want to podcast. I didn't want to do anything. I was dealing with myself and like trying to find myself again. And so then the world stopped this month and I was feeling better about things and my mind has been so much clearer the last month or two. And I went, you know what? This is a perfect time to actually like look back at all the stuff we were talking about doing and let's make a channel. Like we were already doing the podcast. Let's take it to the next level. Like let's do a week's worth of content every day. And we could like bring people entertainment during the quarantine because shit sucks right now. Like we are in the darkest timeline. Dan Harmon had all those jokes in Community and it turned out it was true. And so what we're doing every Sunday, I do my podcast, which we host live, which is the PJ Campbell Show, which is kind of like this. We hang out, we talk about kind of whatever. When we came back, Hogue and I had Maxwell Haddad, who is also a friend of everyone here and one of my very closest friends. We had him call in from New York to catch up with him. And every night at 7 p.m. PST and 10 p.m. EST, there's something going on the PJ Campbell Network, which is on YouTube. We do movie watch-alongs on Mondays and Fridays. Every Monday it's an animated film, and every Friday it's a cult classic of some sort. Mm. So we're just like revisiting stuff that's on Netflix for you guys to watch with us and have commentaries and hang out and have a good time and, you know, just talk about stuff that doesn't normally necessarily get looked at. Then we have another show on Tuesdays called Famous Last Words with Evan DeGraff. Evan is one of the channel's hosts, and he's basically doing one-on-one interviews with people in the space. And it's pretty fun. It's kind of nice. Wednesday nights, we are going to be alternating between a show called Suddenly Soundtracks and another show called Something Rotten. Something Rotten is the brainchild of Frank Janish and I, where we literally only review rotten rated films on Rotten Tomatoes and like try to give them a second look because people write stuff off so easily. But you don't realize like how many of your favorite movies are actually probably rotten on Rotten Tomatoes and you never even thought about it. So it's about trying to like essentially take a system that is a really great tool and trying to deconstruct it and be like, just because something says it's rotten and has like a little green splatter next to it doesn't necessarily make it bad. Because that's the conversation that I think a lot of people miss when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes. The other show on Wednesdays is called Suddenly Soundtracks, and we literally break down Broadway musicals and albums and like talk song to song about the show and each beat of the story and the songs and just kind of like breaking things down. And it's really, really fun. The Thursday night after is either a commentary with Frank and myself talking about a movie that's related to the Something Rotten, and then another watch along with Chris Clark where they watch the musical or a adaptation of the musical. Mm-hmm. And then Saturday nights is what we call family game night, and we literally play games for like 2 hours on a stream. We hang out with the chat, we talk about bullshit, and we have a good time. So literally Sunday through Saturday, we are trying to do 2 hours worth of content to literally fill your time to try to get you through the quarantine, and so that it feels like you're hanging out with people. Like you can be in the chat talking with us because we're live, and you may not necessarily like be playing or watching the thing with us, but you're hanging out with people, and it's not even physically, but you're there, you're having a good time, and we interact with you, and we're hoping to just give some sort of semblance of sanity.
Yeah.
And I do like sanity, and you helped a lot with that. We're obviously in contact quite often because both of you are good friends of mine, and so it's just nice to check in with people once in a while. And I think it's really great that you're doing that. I was only there for the Scott Pilgrim watch, which was just in the comments for a little bit. I couldn't stick around for the whole thing, but that was tons of fun. And Gene and I were talking about the show, about this movie before we started the show. You just did Onward. Which kind of got released at the worst time in human history for a movie.
That movie could not have had maybe the worst luck out this side of New Mutants.
Yeah, like, I mean, I wasn't a fan, but I just feel bad for everything that came out. Like the weekend, the world was like, we need to stop everything.
Well, I'm gonna say this, like between that, The Hunt, and The Way Back, Onward and The Way Back, I'm like, man, I'm really glad at least I got to see those in theaters before the world ended. If the theaters never reopen after all this, if The Hunt is the last movie I saw, I'm gonna be really pissed.
Well, for me, I think I talked about it last time on the show. I saw Come and See, which is like this horrifying war drama that will just like change your point of view on life. That's the last thing I saw, and it's like legitimately probably the greatest film ever made. But it is also like the least comfortable movie to watch before it starts to actually feel like the world is ending. So whatever, we're not here to talk about depressing things. We're here to talk about exciting things. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing on the channel right now on the Waffle Press, and then we're going to go a little bit into what we're watching recently and the best feel-good movies, which a lot of people responded to on Twitter, so thank you for that. And maybe movies that make you feel good that aren't really designed to make you feel good, just your weird little happy places. So on the channel, Gene, you did a retrospective on Star Trek Picard for its entire first season, hopping around at various points. And I don't know if you want to give us a little quick thoughts on the season and what to expect from that conversation.
Yeah, the Star Trek Picard was a little bumpy at first. It took them a while to find their footing, but I think they eventually found it. I mean, there's some really cheer-worthy moments towards the later half. Like, episode 6 and onward, and I have we got on some pretty good trekkers on, and they made a lot of good points and references to stuff that that happened in the Next Generation, and that really connected it because I was hosting it, and I haven't seen all the Next Generation series, so yeah, it's definitely really really good to like listen all the way through if you were missing some of the references that they make in the show, the previous series.
And this is the official sequel to Star Trek Nemesis, which I never expected to ever happen. Yeah. So I'm interested in checking that out eventually. And of course, I'm doing the Happy Amblin retrospective, which is still going on. The Close Encounters episode is almost out. Nefarious forces at work throughout the universe seem to have me at bay, but it's still coming. Check out the Poltergeist episode. And by the time this is up, Matt and I figured something else out, because every Halloween we do a John Carpenter retrospective for one of his films, and obviously the big one is like The Thing. Everyone talks about The Thing, and we were basically talking prior to this that like we'll never do a retrospective on The Thing, just because there's what else is there to say? Like, if you're gonna do like a beat by beat retrospective of the movie, The Thing, everyone loves The Thing basically. So instead, last minute, Matt had an idea to do a commentary track for The Thing. So at the time of release of this episode, you can go over to the Patreon. I'm going to make it available for any tier of the Patreon, every tier of the Patreon. Just if you can, help us out right now, and you'll get early access to The Thing commentary for your quarantine event. So that's my little gift to all you.
You know what's amazing about that is the very first... We have this cinema down here in Tucson called The Loft, and they're like a small indie theater. They kind of remind me of the Egyptian. I love it up to bits. They have the best programming. The weekend I moved down here, the very first movie I saw when I got here was a midnight revival screening of The Thing.
Ooh, so good.
So I'd never seen it on the big screen. It was finally my chance to, and now I have to go and rewatch it because I got to listen to this commentary.
Yeah. So check it out, everyone. It'll be available for everyone soon. Just Patreon listeners will get it much sooner. And it was a very cathartic quarantine film. And there was an explanation Matt gave me that I was like, because it's like alien to me, where I'm like, yeah, it was love at first sight. Like, I'm not scared of anything, even though I was scared of movies really easily as a kid. But I wasn't scared of anything in the film. Then something was explained to me and it just made like my brain snap. And I was like, oh no, this is now the scariest film ever made. So go check it out. What else are we watching recently, PJ? What are you watching? Or what do you want to tee up before we get into what we're watching? What do you want to tee up next for your watch along?
So we're actually doing Tremors tomorrow night, which I'm like stupid excited about. We're gonna actually have the movie trivia schmodown Inner Geekdom champion of the world, Kevin Smets.
Oh, okay, very exciting. But really quick, will that be tomorrow as in Friday or Saturday? Because this is going up Friday morning.
No, so it'll already be up. So it's tomorrow night for us right now, which is Friday. Okay. So it was yesterday for everyone listening because I just confused the audience. We will have done that, and then on Monday we're actually doing a Goofy movie for the 25th anniversary.
Yay!
Actually really love, and that's the movie where my nickname came from. So I have a soft spot for it. And it explains so much, I know. But I've been watching a lot of Scrubs, to be honest. Bill Lawrence, there's something about like it kind of being my happy place, because I've never had a show that understood the way my brain works quite the way that JD's and mine do. Like, I have the same weird day visions and things like that. And so I kind of have this kindred spirit with that show. And it's a show that is also very real. So like, it can be very, very funny, but it also has no problem like delving into what life feels like a lot of the time. And kind of right now, it's the perfect things can suck, but they will get better sort of thing. So I've really been watching a lot of that. And then like just random kind of whatever. Like, obviously we did the Scott Pilgrim watch along. I already watched all the Tremors films again, leading back up to our watch along, because I wanted to revisit all of them. And that includes like the latest 2 sequels that came out over the like last 5 years.
Yeah, isn't there like 9 sequels?
There's currently 5 sequels, but there's supposed to be a 6th one coming out in October.
Oh wow.
Is it still going to come out in October?
I mean, at this point, probably not. I mean,
yeah.
I have no idea. Those movies aren't shot over very long, and they don't really use all that much in the way of special effects at this point. Like, they're basically just cheesy B movies that Universal rolls out for like $1 million at a pop. So I assume that it's probably been finished, at least on a shooting side. I don't know about the post, but
okay.
I love those movies. Tremors is like maybe the last great B monster film that's a truly original monster film.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it gets nearly enough love. And there's just something like, I think it's the one direct-to-video series that has stayed pretty consistently good across the board. I know that Andy Comer, our like really great friend of the show, he loves them as much as I do.
Yeah, I love the first sequel. I'm not crazy about 3 or 4, but I don't dislike them. Like, the concept is just so perfect,
Oh, totally.
And I'm interested in checking them out eventually, even though they have Jamie Kennedy.
Dude, I'll tell you what, Tremors 5 is almost on the level of Tremors 2, and I never thought I'd say that. And Tremors 2 was so good that it almost got a theatrical release, even though it was made direct to video.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's hyping it up for me. I'm going to read some other happy place mentions from people. Really quick, this movie speaks. Ocean's 11, 13, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. There you go, PJ. Hot Fuzz, The Last Jedi. I'm pretty sure Knives Out will become one too. So basically anything from Soderbergh, Wright, or Johnson, I guess, ? Not bad choices, though. I really love that Ocean's trilogy. I didn't see Ocean's 12 there, but we're going to just chalk that up to a not a correct error. At Mergen Girl, The Runaways, Girl Interrupted, Anne of 1,000 Days, Roman Holiday, Chinese Box, Sense and Sensibility.
What an interesting list for that one. Like,
I know.
I never hear people talking about Roman Holiday. I love that movie, so no shade. I'm just surprised to hear that.
I have only seen The Runaways from this list, so I'm a fake film fan. I'm a fake cinephile. I like The Runaways.
I mean, there's only one fake film fan, and that's Mike Messina, because he keeps pretending Jason X isn't his favorite movie.
Yeah, we have that on file somewhere.
I know we do.
Gene, what's a happy place movie for you?
For me, I have several that are just really random. One would make you happy, Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Terminator 2 gives you a good cry at the end, cathartic cry.
Yeah. That one makes you optimistic for the future at the end. Which is needed.
That and Dark Fate. Dark Fate to a point too.
Yeah.
Dark Fate. Yeah, I liked Dark Fate. I was not kind to that leading up to release, and I will gladly eat crow over how wrong I was about that movie. I liked it very much.
Now, if only the rest of the internet could lead by your example.
I mean, okay, look, it's not great.
I'm not saying it's amazing. I'm just saying it's not nearly a train wreck either.
Yeah, no. Compared to the other sequels, I'm like, no, this is clearly the best one. Like,
right.
It's a solid movie with a lot of good ideas, and that's where the series should have gone like immediately. If that was Terminator 3 from the get-go, this franchise is a different story.
Totally.
Better than that McG movie.
No, Salvation's the other direction. Those are literally the two directions the franchise needed to go in, and then they kind of botched one in the filmmaking aspect, and then the other one just botched it in the box office.
We're leaving out
the future, or
we're also leaving out the obvious third answer to all of this, and that's the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Okay, so I'm gonna play coy here and just say, like, I stand by my statement that those were the two options. Sarah Connor Chronicles is like someone came from the future to give them that idea, because it was too good of a show.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
that show was way ahead of its time.
If you know what, that is a happy place thing. I will say that, and it's a very easy watch. It sucks it ends on a cliffhanger, but if you've never actually seen it, I would sit down with those 2 seasons during the quarantine, because it's a very quick, easy watch, and it's freaking great.
Yeah, you know what? If you really want to bend over backwards to not make it like an unhappy ending with a cliffhanger, pretend it leads into Salvation. It doesn't fit exactly. It's kind of like trying to put a circle into a square hole.
Right. Can't believe
but
those.
you can kind of make it work.
Can't believe that movie and that TV show existed at the same time.
Yeah, well, Salvation's what basically made them go like, nah, we're done. Yeah. And of course, it was like crazy expensive. There's fucking Terminators on it every week.
I still remember very early on when the pilot for that actually leaked online before it was supposed to. And so I saw it months before it was actually supposed to air because it had leaked online. And I remember everyone was going to be like, everyone online was already sharpening their knives and they were ready to hate it. And a bunch of us watched the pilot and it was not completely finished, but I watched it and I went, you know what? Nah, this actually might be the best version of Terminator that we could have expected post T2 in a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
Such a bummer.
Yeah, I was just gonna finish up the list.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Gene.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm not mad.
No, this is how this usually goes. You're good. We're all good here.
Flash Gordon, great.
Oh.
Love that. Love everything about it. The bad acting, the good acting, the music, especially the music. Last Crusade.
Of course.
Almost Famous.
Almost Famous is a good happy place, yeah.
Yeah.
Check out the episode on the podcast, of course.
Spaceballs and Tron Legacy.
Those are
Tron Legacy fucking rules.
Yeah.
A lot of mine lately, like outside of just the stuff I've been watching for the shows, like I've been going back to Waterworld and The Rocketeer.
Oh, great.
Which I love so much. The Kevin Smith's basically entire filmography at this point is just like one big happy place for me because they just mean so freaking much to me. Alec Baldwin's The Shadow.
I've never seen The Shadow.
I haven't seen that.
Am I missing out?
You are missing out. The Shadow is the movie that convinced Steven Spielberg that he could make Jurassic Park because it was so ahead of its time in special effects. He was on set and saw them shooting this. There's a sequence, and if you've ever seen the trailer, it's the shot that ends the trailer, but of the Shadow essentially like going up the staircase and becoming Alec Baldwin. That was when Spielberg was there, and he was like, "Oh, I think I can actually do this." So there's some precedence on like how important that movie actually ended up being for a lot of different reasons. So that's one of them for me. The Ip Man films with Donnie Yen, because I love martial arts movies, and White House Down.
White House Down rules.
Yes. White House Down so
is hard. Olympus Has Fallen for people that like nice things.
Well,
Olympus Has Fallen is like just trash, and not even like I can't get into that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I tried really hard. But White House Down rules. Yeah.
Yeah, we should have got two other White House Downs.
We really should have. And I watched Angel Has Fallen recently.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did we get here? And it's arguably the best one in the series, but they're just not good. Like, I just don't understand.
Those movies genuinely need someone like Michael Bay.
Right.
Like someone who has no holds barred, regrets nothing, is just like, what budget are you going to give me? Yes. You know, like just blow up everything. Is it going to be a little racist and like a little jingoistic? Absolutely. And there needs to be conversations to be had about that. But it will also be a Michael Bay movie, and you know what you're getting with that too. So it's not excusing anything. I'm just saying, like, there's a difference between
there really
The Rock and what that they are.
No, there is, and it's weird because like I look back at Olympus Has Fallen, and that movie is so racist and so badly directed and just so poorly made, and it looks so cheap. It amazes me that was the movie that did so much better than White House Down, which actually had like great character work and a budget and was fun as hell and had like much better leads. I don't know, man. I don't get it.
Yeah. I think I'll move on to some other tweets soon too, and some of my stuff. But like I think right around then was like Channing Tatum was being positioned as the it guy in the late 2000s, and then like in the early 2010s, he's like actually doing interesting shit like Magic Mike. You know, like he pitched that to Nicholas Winding Refn before Soderbergh, which is insane. So like the dude's got like taste, right? And then he does that, and it's like, oh, he's still trying to be the action guy, like whatever. But he's like really good in it too. And then he did 21 Jump Street, yada yada yada. It's crazy. It's very unfortunate it didn't work out, but yeah. he's a good one in that. Another tweet from a friend of the show at AB Allen. just watched Solo: A Star Wars Story tonight. Very in need of a feel good, and I'd say that it fit the bill perfectly. See also Emma, Mary Poppins, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, Christopher Robin, Little Women, the 1994 version, and Scott Pilgrim versus the World. A lot of Scott Pilgrim. I think we all that movie's really found its audience.
I mean, it found its audience exactly the way I think we all expected it to. It bombed at the box office, and yet here we are 10 years later, and we all fucking love it.
Yep. Yeah. I still haven't seen Mary Poppins.
The original or the new one?
The original. I haven't seen the new one either, but I'm probably just gonna avoid that, like, because the director. But
I'll say this: it's his best directed film, like, of the last decade.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how much
what else he did this decade. I'm just like,
he did what?
Horror
Into
stories.
the Woods.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they did Pirates 4.
Yeah, and he did Pirates 4.
Which is like the most expensive film ever made until Endgame.
Pretty much.
Oh my god.
Pretty much.
Anyways, I'm looking forward to watching the original Mary Poppins at some point. At the Talking Can, our friend Andy Comer. Ooh. Masters of the Universe, Singing in the Rain, Adventureland, 21. Sorry if these are traditional and I'm just dumb. Haha. You're not dumb, Andy. I didn't expect to see Singing in the Rain, though.
Or Adventureland, to be honest. Like, not that I don't dislike that movie, but what an odd choice. Just because that's such a weird little indie movie that kind of just came and went.
And I love Adventureland.
I do too.
Love Adventureland, man.
I do too.
Yeah. I would honestly put that as a happy place movie for me too. Just to get into mine then. I have the Pacific Rim is a pretty common watch for me. That's when I leave feeling better about people and like the world. It's obviously a big monster mash, robot, rock'em sock'em, beat 'em up movie. But it's also a film about like people needing to come together for the greater good. And it's a very pro-science kaiju film, which I think a lot of the better kaiju films actually do very well. Gene brought up Godzilla King of the Monsters, which has been very much on repeat at my house lately, because I think that is one, very underrated, and two, another very pro-science, pro-humanity film about finding a way to live alongside nature. It's not an accident that the kaiju are born in different environments across the globe. But
it says eco-fascism is stupid.
Yeah. And it's about climate change. It's not subtle. It's why Ghidorah fucking brings a monsoon wherever it goes. It's got something on its mind. Fuck, whatever. At The Horror Kid says 30 Days of Night, Scream, Resident Evil, Beetlejuice, Idle Hands, and Child's Play.
Yeah, those are good. I just rewatched Scream the other night, actually. So that was one of my lists. Scream. I just rewatched that one the other night. I just was feeling the pull for it. I mean, I usually watch a shit ton of horror anyway. Like Halloween is another one. I think, talking about Carpenter, what a happy place movie.
Yeah, I felt Idle Hands was not as bad as people make it out to be.
Is that disappointing for you?
I don't know. It was always like, I don't know. It always seemed very it always seemed mocked. But I watched it last Halloween and I really enjoyed it with a group of friends. And yeah,
that's fair. I get it.
Speaking of Carpenter, his entire filmography is kind of like a happy place for me. Like even his lesser stuff. Even Ghosts of Mars, which is not good, but
that movie is so fun. Holy shit.
It's really fun. Even Escape from LA, I've really grown to appreciate over the time, and it has the greatest movie ending ever.
Can we just talk about real quick? That's Andy's favorite of the two, too.
No,
strange.
It's crazy.
So weird.
I know, but I love it. I love that.
I mean, I love it too.
Yeah.
But just it's weird to hear that because I mean, Escape from New York is the pinnacle, iconic film for a reason, and Andy's over in the corner being like, "But Escape from L.A." And it's like, Andy, what are you doing?
No, you saw that surfing scene.
Yeah,
Head over heels.
That scene is the shit, though. Honestly, I love that scene. The even John Carpenter says to this day he's like, I am waiting for that to get a Thing style renaissance because he's convinced he made the superior movie with L.A. He's like, it's got way more on its mind. Everything is thematically right. It's very much I don't think he's like even blinded by it or anything like that. Like I want to see it like he sees it. You know.
I'll say this: there's one superior aspect to the second movie that the first one just does not have, and that is the inclusion of Bruce Campbell.
Oh yeah, as the Surgeon General of Beverly Hills, I believe, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Amazing, hilarious prosthetics in that. Yeah. You know what? Incredible. There you go. Escape from L.A. Just that'll be a little recommendation too.
Speaking of Bruce Campbell, the Evil Dead films, and even Ash vs. Evil Dead to a point. Like,
okay,
you know, Sam Raimi.
Yeah. Campbell, I completely roll with that. And you know what? Let's talk about this then. So now we're getting into like films that are not made to be feel good, but make us feel good when we watch them. What do you think makes a feel good film, and why do you think certain films like these could bring us to a happy place? Gene, first, like what makes a feel good film, and what kind of film like Blade Runner to me is a happy place movie, even though it is very much not a happy film. It takes me to a happy place. So why do you think that something like that is, and what's a happy place movie to you?
Well, I feel like any film that really takes you out of the moment in terms of what's going on in your life, or good times or bad times, really defines a sort of a happy place movie. It could be really bringing it into the world of the film, or just kind of like bringing you back to when you first watched it. When I'm watching Last Crusade, I just think of watching Last Crusade on when I was like 10 on Christmas, getting the box DVD set and just kind of seeing it for the first time, and just kind of takes me back, takes my mind off of stuff. That's how I would describe it. And, yeah.
Oh, I like that. PJ, same question.
Yeah, it's weird because I think stereotypically we look at feel-good movies as the ones that are a lot of them like 90s romantic comedies or even 80s romantic comedies. When you look at like You've Got Mail or Say Anything, like movies like that are generally considered feel-good movies because they leave you feeling like happy because everyone's happy in it. But I think that there's something more about the time and place of where you see something and how it affects you, because I can think of movies like Tron Legacy where it like completely changed my life and it became a happy place movie for me. Like there's a world that you're transported to. It takes you into a new direction. It puts you in a place where you feel euphoric, and for like 2.5 hours I get to forget about the stuff that's going on because sometimes the world just sucks. So I think it's about any movie that can transport you to a place where you forget about the stuff going on around you for just a little bit. You don't even get lost in your head thinking about things, and you're just lost in the world.
I think you both gave very good answers, and I would agree with both of you. That's what I get out of stuff like Carpenter films, even
totally
the escape duology, which I know we're just talking to death about, but like obviously are very prescient to what's going on in the world at the moment. I think the mark of a lot of great art is that it ages very well, and unfortunately those aged very well.
More than we'd like to admit, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, that Carpenter's ahead of his time.
Oh yeah. And Carpenter's funny because he's got such a big fan base, like even now, like online, and people are like, oh, a lot of those people are like, take politics out of movies, and he's like, yeah, I don't trust conservative governments. Like it's not even whatever. I got a whole thing about that. More tweets at Bobby Fat. Unbreakable, Stranger Than Fiction, ... Transformers, Age of Extinction. No, I can't explain it.
No. Hey man, it goes to what we were just talking about. If it takes you to a place that makes you happy, good for you.
Yeah. At the Con Life, a friend of the show as well, just put a gif of Nicolas Cage saying, I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
As it should be.
Got to get that National Treasure 3 on Disney Plus.
Oh, hell yeah. Isn't that happening?
It sounds like it might be happening. I've heard a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes where they're like really pushing for it, because I know Cage really wants to do it, because he's also talking about retiring. Oh. So I think it's one of those things where he's like, I really want to do what Harrison Ford is doing, where he kind of wants to revisit stuff, because there was a little bit a couple of years ago where he was really pushing to do a sequel to Con Air also. and I don't know what kind of happened to that. And Con Air's another one for me. Like, that's a happy place movie. I love that movie to death, and I would have loved to see what he had come up with for his sequel to Con Air.
Yeah,
something insane for sure.
Yeah, and I love Cage's work, and I feel kind of bad because right now he's obviously doing like really interesting work, but a lot of it is just kind of like meme material, like full Rage Cage kind of stuff. Like God bless stuff like Mandy and Color Out of Space, which I finally saw and is fucking terrific. Yeah, he gets to give real performances in those. You know?
Well, that's what I was going to say is, like, have you seen Color Out of Space? Because I know that there's people who are definitely going to meme a certain portion of that movie, but that movie is fucking bonkers good. Like, it terrified me in the best way.
Yeah, I was feeling like really like, oh man, I felt like I had some bad weed after I watched that movie.
Yeah. Oh,
yes. Everything was great except like that last shot where it's just kind of, the last shot was kind of bothering me.
Well, it's still a little too soon to talk about that one, I think, because that one's going to be underseen for a little while.
Oh,
but we can talk about that another time, because that will be on my favorites of the year list of 6 movies that came out.
Yeah, I've got 15 movies right now, and it's easily in the top 10.
I have like less.
Yeah. Right, I saw 10 movies. They're all in the top 10. Saw 10 movies this year.
Congrats to Bad Boys for Life for being one of the front runners for Best Picture.
Hey man, the fact that Bad Boys for Life right now is still the highest grossing film of the year brings me so much joy, and yet it's because of such a fucked up thing.
Yeah, I like the embodiment of that Matrix scene where they're like, not like this. Not like this.
Or Birds of Prey, everyone, all the Comicsgate people talking shit. Well, it's like, now it's the highest grossing comic book movie of this year.
Fucking nerds.
Fucking nerds.
And I mean, hey, that'll probably go down as the best one, even if all the other ones come out. No disrespect to anything else coming out. Just Birds of Prey is really fucking good. One more tweet really quick.
Sure.
Sorry, I can't get to everyone. There was a lot of responses, so thank you very much for that. We'll keep doing this. At Plebotamus, Josie and the Pussycats, Shaun of the Dead, My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, and Guardians of the Galaxy. I love all of those except for Josie and the Pussycats because I haven't seen it. So sorry about that, but I intend to.
Edgar Wright came up a few times. He's another one, like, as a filmmaker, I think most of his movies, we could all agree, they end up being a happy place along the way. Like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End, Scott Pilgrim, Baby Driver. They're all good, man.
Yeah. And his stuff is kind of like the inverse of what I get from Blade Runner. Like, I guess just real quick, I'll give my little Blade Runner thing. I first saw that movie when I got out of surgery for appendicitis.
Oh my God.
And so I'm in a hospital bed. Like, it wasn't like a risky operation or anything. Yeah. Just take it out of you. But apparently it was close to like, going off basically. And I was, on painkillers, whatever, like in the hospital bed, have my laptop. My dad sets it up for me and it's like, I'm going to go get some water and stuff. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I'm like coming in and out of consciousness and watching Blade Runner. And I felt like I was like in that version of LA. And now I just feel like that because of the way the world is. But like that one, like literally transported me. And it probably was because of the hospital drugs. But every time I revisit it, it takes me right back to that moment where I'm like, wow, I'm like in this movie. Like, I forget what's going on around me.
I mean, it's pretty accurate to where we are now. We just need like more short robots.
Yeah, let's get a sequel to Blade Runner that's about overthrowing the systems of government and corporations that allowed that to get that bad. So I feel like also have that happen in real life.
That feels like the animated series is like definitely probably doing that
anime. Right? Yeah, that anime that still hasn't come out yet. Anyone hear about that? Or
no, they just said that sounds good. Yeah, I think I was just reading something recently where they were like they'd already put almost all the work into it, and someone's doing the score right now. Like it's very well on its way to being finished.
Okay, nice. That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely one of the happy place movies for me. And I don't know, I guess that's kind of I guess we can keep going, but I mean that might be it for right now. I mean, unless we want to tackle anything else today or hype anything else up.
I just love seeing all these different lists and different things because like look at all this different stuff that people love. there's something to be said about what that can do to you and like how certain movies really do impact you. Like I could never explain to anyone why Age of Extinction would make them feel that way, but I mean, that's the magic of cinema though, right? Like you can't explain it. It's just funny to me. Like you hear that and it's like, oh, wow. Like you forget that sometimes someone actually likes a movie that you just genuinely don't.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Here, I guess that's what I want to leave myself saying off. Like with Blade Runner, it's a slower film that I could lose myself in. I do like the Edgar Wright stuff too, the more zippy zappy stuff. Maybe that's why King of the Monsters has been such like been on repeat basically around here. Then there's like animated stuff like Gravity Falls I've been rewatching a lot of because that show is just like a delight. And it's like you're almost nostalgic for like something you don't even like, you're not even personally familiar with. That's how good that show is. It like makes you think of like childhood and you're like, my childhood wasn't like this at all, but take me back somewhere. And then, you know, I like my Andrei Tarkovsky too. I like watching Stalker for 3.5 years or however long that movie is, and just losing myself in a story about three men who are trying to find some semblance of purpose in this weird little space in Soviet Russia. And it's terrific. Movies can do everything. It can be flashy, they can be fast, they can bring you happiness, they can bring you sadness, they can take you away from all this nonsense for a couple hours. And I greatly appreciate them. So thank you both for joining me on this episode of The Hangouts. PJ, why don't you go ahead and let the people know where they can find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at PJ_Campbell. You can find me podcasting over at the PJ Campbell Network on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, you know, wherever podcasts are sold, you can find it. And if you are looking for something to binge, you can always check out the Movie Trivia Schmodown. I am the head writer for that show. And, you know, give it some love on YouTube. Thanks, guys. And, you know, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, it's always good to talk to you, man. It's good to hear from you.
I freaking miss you guys, man.
Yeah, I miss you too. I'm emptying my bank account once this is all over, and I'm just gonna travel for like months. So I'm heading down to Arizona the moment we can like not die and leave the house.
You bring some drinks.
Oh, dude, don't worry. We got
drinks.
I got a cabana in the backyard. We'll make it happen.
All right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And Gene, why don't you go ahead and let the people know where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Gene9892.
And of course, you can find me on Twitter at the Diego Crespo. Check out the Waffle Press on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Patreon. Again, where you can listen to the Thing commentary a little earlier than everyone else. Check out the rest of the retrospective stuff we're doing. We're going to be doing episodes more frequently just because we'll be able to finally do that. And we'll have on more guests. We'll have on more fun topics. And we're going to pull out all the stops to make this as enjoyable and pleasurable as we possibly can. I know it's not much, but it's our little way of giving back to everyone who stuck with us through the years. So Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Stay inside if you can. And we have been professionally unprofessional.